مرحبا جميعا، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Hello everyone. مرحبا فيكم في ملتقى في برنامج المهاجرون العرب، وفي ملتقى جديد معنا مع حلقتنا. Today we are honored to host the mayor candidate Miss Rana Bokhari, who's been very active in the community and been very well spoken and held political position before, and it's always great to have her and speak with her on a friend level as well as on a professional level. The idea behind today again is to try and introduce our community at large to the candidates, to hear from them, to know who they are, and to make it very personalized so that they can speak with you and you can hear from them. And when you're voting for your mayor, you know exactly who you're voting for, regardless of their background, reputation, or what you heard about them. And again, I want to welcome Rana with us today. Rana, welcome, and thank you very much for giving us the time in your busy campaign.
Yeah, thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. I always feel comfort speaking to our own communities and being able to have very good, frank conversations. So thank you for creating the space.
My pleasure. Ms. Bukhari, can you please tell us something about yourself, some background for those who don't know you?
Yeah, I thank you. I'm a lawyer by profession. I've been a lawyer for about 10 years. I predominantly am in the area of human rights, and I do some general counsel work for about 4 or 5 First Nations as well, mostly in municipal issues, water treatment, lagoons, negotiations with federal and provincial governments in terms of funding, a lot of what we require for the city of Winnipeg. So it's a very transferable skill set. I'm a Pakistani, very proud Pakistani Muslim woman. I'm so grateful that I've been able to, carry my faith and what I believe in, as well as my ethnicity, very, very proudly throughout this campaign. And I think that there's something very valuable to say about that, because there's some of the values that we hold as people. It's very powerful in leadership. And I'm really looking to bring that to the general population.
And I agree with you. And I also want to add, maybe also as a gender, also you're a female candidate, and that comes with challenges for running for a mayor.
Yes, and I would remind the community that this is the first time in Winnipeg's history that a Muslim woman has ever run for mayor. And when I was Liberal leader at that time, despite all of the very difficult challenges, I was and still am the only Muslim leader to ever run a political party in this country to this day.
So what attracted you to politics? How did you move from being a lawyer to becoming an actively politician?
I think it has a lot to do with who we are as people. To me, politics is about charity. It's about giving back. I think that when we talk about giving and social services, it's very much a part of our iman. It's what we believe in, right? It's about how do you better the world if you are given something, if you are given a skill, if we are given some kind of goodness in the way of knowledge, or anything. It's ours to share. It's our requirement to share it and to help people do better. And for me, I'm really not like the other candidates. I think there's nothing similar at all between me and every other candidate, because I am approaching, like I always have, whether it's in law or politics, bettering people, taking everything to a human level. Because I believe if we are able to take care of people, everything else will get better. If we can lift people from their struggles, if we can treat people with dignity and compassion and justice and respect, everything will be better.
Wonderful. So how do you, like based on your previous experience, whether it's in law or prior to that or in life in general, how do you feel your experience? How can you incorporate your experience to better your position as a mayor in the city of Winnipeg?
Oh, I truly think I am the most qualified and the most experienced. I have leadership experience. Like I've run a political party with 53 candidates for years. Just even in my law practice, I've done the type of work that nobody has. There's no one else who has experience negotiating with federal and provincial governments for water, for infrastructure, for funding of any kind. I'm literally the only person in this campaign who has any of that experience.
Wonderful. So let's talk about things in the city of Winnipeg. We are all Winnipeggers. We live here. We take pride in our city, and we also there are things that we wish we can change or make better, right? So one of the things that you always see around, and it's obvious, is when, and I'm asking the same questions to the others. How do you deal with, you look at the issues with the ongoing streets repairs and potholes and cracks, and every summer we have renewals of roads and so on. You look at the problem of the high crime in Winnipeg compared to the rest of Canada, and it puts us on the high scale compared to other cities. The homeless population that we love and care about, but we're having issues how to look after them and place them in the right field or get them back on their feet, whether it's an addiction problem or otherwise. These are just maybe three of some challenges we face as a city. So I'm just going to summarize them. Our infrastructure as city in terms of streets and so on, our high crime rate, and as well as our dealing with our population of homeless people and how to deal and take care of them. How do you propose, if you were a mayor, if you were elected as a mayor, how would you propose that you would be able to deal with these issues? How are you going to do it?
Yeah, and I love how you pose that question, because nothing works individually, right? Everything is connected to each other. Infrastructure is deeply connected to poverty and how people move around the city. Infrastructure is also, and poverty is related to the climate, and climate is related to the health, and health is related to drugs. It's all interconnected. And I could say very clearly, specifically about potholes, we have failed the public in how we spend public dollars, how we spend your dollars. Because at the end of the day, I would ask your listeners, if you were to renovate 1 year, and
my apologies for that. Just keep going. I apologize. These are the pop-ups. I don't know how to stop, but please go ahead.
Yeah, no. So, if you were going to renovate your house, like many of us do at some point, you wouldn't spend the same $100,000 every year to renovate the house. You would renovate it, and then you would have a little, 1 or 2% of a cost to upkeep 5 years later. But I believe that in this city, because the way we tender, and the way that we the systems by which we construct things, it's a business, and it's a business based on our dollars. It's a complete absolute disrespectful use of the public dollar. So what do? How do we resolve that issue? Well, number one, the tendering process shouldn't always just be going to the lowest bid. We need to make sure that we actually have qualified people doing the work. Number two, there is no reason that we should be using the same material that we know to fix road that has failed miserably for 40 years. We can go across the border and somehow they can manage to keep their roads clean without potholes, yet we can't do that. For what? It's not a cost issue. It's a sensible approach to moving the city forward. We can't do what we have been doing for all these years. And that's where the change comes from. That's where you need the leadership that is willing to be bold and acknowledge the fact that something has not worked. So that's when it comes to infrastructure. But a part of infrastructure also has to be, we have many cars on the road. We want to support public transit. We want transit for our families to be affordable. You know, when people, whether it's our community or any other community, when we're living in poverty, when our community, our newcomers are living in poverty, which many, when they first come, are very tight for money, and they need buses to go to their jobs. $100 in that case is a lot of money. It's a lot of money for somebody living at that level. So, you know, that's why I've committed to $20 bus passes. We want the city to be safe. How do we do that? Well, we have to get drugs off the street. That's why I'm committed to reallocating 10% of the police budget to deal with crime, preventative crime, deal with social issues. That 10% reallocation is $32 million that community services have not had yet. That they don't have it, yet they have every skill set to do the job. And I think that's really where we have to move. I'm just not the same leader that's it's about practical solutions. It's about evidence-based solutions. It's about solutions that are very rooted in dignity and compassion of human beings, whether they are from here, not from here, PR, newcomers, visiting, it doesn't matter. We have to, if you land in the city of Winnipeg, you deserve the right to be treated with dignity and respect, and that is a political will that we need right now to do that.
That's a very good point. One of the challenges that we face here is that we want to try and attract and also retain younger generation, professional generations who can, instead of losing them to other provinces or down south, our neighbor down south. So in the past, Winnipeg was known for its real estate prices, home prices, living expenses being reasonable compared to whether the Far East or the Far West or even our close neighbors in Alberta. So people used to come here because it was more affordable, it was easier to live, it's easier to buy houses. But lately, the house prices, as of last year, struck high, and it became challenging for people, even younger people, to own houses. How do you propose that we should? What is in your agenda to try and attract more people to come to Winnipeg and more younger people to stay here instead rather than going out somewhere else?
Oh, absolutely. And in 10 years, this will be the greatest crisis that we face. It's already a crisis because, you know, when we lose young people, we're losing the vibrancy of our city. We're losing the intelligence, the knowledge. It disrupts families. There's a list of things that happen when we lose our youth, and you know, as family members, you know, as parents or as siblings or anything else, as family, we definitely don't want to be losing or having our family members move away simply due to opportunity.
Right.
Because then we don't get to be together, right? We don't get to enjoy our own family situation, and on the other hand, on our youth to succeed. So this is really, it's become about creating opportunity. It's about creating opportunities and skills and in trades, and encouraging people to really, you know, from a city perspective, it's a lot to do with what the city of Winnipeg does. You know, we employ thousands of people, right? There needs to be mentorship for even city jobs, right? Not the provincial government, right? We have a limited jurisdiction on what we do, but at the same time, what we can do is have economic zones in this city. You know, economic zones for our youth, economic zones for our women who are so talented at times. You know, their crafts, their skills are so talented. You know, there's all of these different types of things that we need to be doing, but we don't do it. And I also think that there needs to be representation in business. You know, I know that what's alarming to me at times is that you know, we have a Winnipeg Chamber of Commerce, but then you've seen it, and I think you're very much a part of it, how the Muslim Chamber of Commerce had to, you know, went on their own way. The Black Chamber went on their own way. There's Aboriginal Chamber of Commerce. We all went on our own ways. Why did we do that? Because we weren't being represented. And right now, I can be very blunt with you, without good, proper, visionary leadership, our people will not be represented. Our youth will not be represented. And that's really what has to happen. How do we create opportunities for youth when we don't even include them in the discussions. So for me, I definitely want a youth advisory committee. I want it to be connected to the universities. I want it to be connected to economic development. I want it to be connected to arts, tourism, and as well. I want it to be connected to the gig economy. Many of our youth have 2 jobs. They have side gigs, creating things on the side. Let's lift them. Let's create a zone for them to be able to do that. We can take leadership roles and across the board when it comes to that. And lastly, the green economy is a massive part of what the future holds. It's going to be huge for our communities as well. I'm really encouraging a lot of families to look at those new developments, the new things that are coming. It's not always doctors and lawyers. There's massive opportunity in this city, or in this country. We just need to be the zone for it. But again, it takes vision, it takes leaderships, it takes acknowledgement, and it takes the ability to listen to those individuals who know what they need. We can't dictate to youth what they need. We have to hear from them.
Wonderful. So I hear you saying that in your agenda you'll be looking at programs to attract the youth. That is not necessarily existing programs, but future programs that deals with either the environment or other new technologies that will put the city on the map.
Absolutely.
Perfect. So speaking about putting the city on the map, every time you visit any new city, one of the things you usually do is visit the downtown of that city. And it's usually where either the activities are happening, the businesses are happening. That's typically what downtown has been like. COVID times excluded, when everything shut down. But in the downtown Winnipeg, anybody who's been here for few years, I've been here for 20 years, will see have been some changes happening. But maybe people, when I talk to people, I hear the comment that it's not as fast as it should be, like in terms of making it more beautiful, making it more attractive. Making it even more attractive for businesses to relocate back to downtown instead of going to Bridgewater or somewhere else.
Yeah.
How do you propose that we can make our downtown, Winnipeg downtown, one of the best downtowns in Canada in the next, say, 4 to 8 years?
Yeah, no, it's a big question. So downtown requires a complete rejuvenation. There's no doubt. Downtown requires safety. Downtown requires vibrancy. Downtown needs to be walkable. Downtown needs to be somewhere where you could be in Bridgewater and jump on a bus and get downtown. So it's not a one-off situation. What I'm proposing is a complete reevaluation of how we make downtown like other downtowns, because what downtown should look like, the vision of downtown should be booming businesses. How do we get businesses downtown? Well, we're going to have to help them survive downtown. We're going to help them have to market downtown. We're going to have to help them promote themselves downtown, right? As a city, we can do that, right? We also need to ensure that there's safety measures downtown. So a lot of the poverty issues, the homelessness issues, the drug addiction issues, that's why I'm such an advocate for this stuff. It affects everything. It affects you whether you're downtown, whether you're in Transcona, whether you're in River Heights, whether you're in Charleswood and Lindenwood. It's all connected. So we need to resolve those issues as well. We need investment in downtown. Portage Place, there's community organizations that have put forward an amazing opportunity for Portage Place. Okay, let's work with them. They know what they need. There's housing that needs to be built downtown, affordable housing. We need to infill property downtown. Our affordable housing needs to come up downtown. I acknowledge the fact that we have areas that are building outwards, but we can also we can walk and chew gum. We can do both. You know what I mean? We can also invest in the core. We can also invest in infill housing. We can also do all these things, but also it's the beautification of downtown and tourism. You know, we have the WAG. We have historic things downtown that we actually have not done a great job of bringing attention to. Human Rights Museum is one step away from downtown. Like I said, the WAG has amazing things. That Arts and Culture Center is amazing downtown. We just need to put everything in a proper framework, recognizing that everything is connected to each other, because it's not just going to be business, and it's not just going to be housing, and it's not just going to be vibrancy. It's all going to be connected. And the other thing too is it's the beautification. I don't envision downtown without LRT kind of driving down Portage Avenue, right? Like you want to see those innovative downtown with canopy trees and that type of visionary, where we're utilizing the arts and culture of our city from all communities, right? And that's another thing for our community. We have such beauty in our own, and we need to start taking our space. We need to start taking our own space in this city. So it's yes, it's a city responsibility, but we also want to do it as a community.
Interesting. What issues you feel that are close to your heart, and that you would like to bring them to the City Hall, and as if you're elected as a mayor, see them implemented, and why do you feel they're close to your heart?
I think that when it comes to diversity and inclusion and human rights, that's really, I believe that's the foundation. And I think that's a lot of my faith. I think that understanding that, the root of everything is how we treat other people. It's really that it's truly that simple. And I think that without acknowledging failures, without acknowledging how we have a lot of divisive narrative, how we treat people different, whether if they look the same or different, I think that we need to stop doing that. I think we need to learn to do that. There's a lot of systemic barriers in this city. We face it as our own community, but everyone else faces it as well. We know that it's very hard to get a job when your name is not Joe or Jack or whatever else. These are factual things. These are historically evidence-based things. So there has to be an appropriate process in place. And one of the things I really deeply believe in is going through all of our policies and all of our city procedures in every department with a human rights lens, with an inclusive diversity lens, acknowledging the fact that we need to start getting more diverse people in leadership roles, more diverse people sitting on boards, more representation on decision-making tables, whether it's, human rights issue, whether it's crime issues, whether it's the police board, whether it's anything else. I'll talk about police for an example. Someone said to me a few days ago, oh, well, we have to build bridges. No, we have to, I think it was build bridges. They used a term about policing. And it kind of alarmed me a bit, because I thought in my head, well, police in Winnipeg and most BIPOC communities have never had good relationships. We're not talking about building relationships. We're not talking about, lifting relationships. We're talking about a complete creation of a relationship between communities and all these institutions. But again, it takes leadership. It takes somebody who understands the challenges that people face. It's not lost on me that there's many people in this city right now who are undocumented. Many people from not undocumented, but they have a lapse in their immigration documents at times. These people who could be violent in very violent situations. They can be in domestic violence situations. They can be in publicly violent situations. They're afraid to call the police. They're afraid to get medical help. They're afraid to do all these things. How are we treating people? How are we treating people? And I think that one of the greatest benefits we have, because of who we are and how blessed we are to have such a good foundation and a good value system, because where we come from, is the fact that we as people understand that, because it's rooted in our faith. It's deeply rooted in our faith. And I think that that's the best kind of leadership to have, that is so deeply connected to people, and understanding that when people do good, when any of us do good, everyone does good. Your betterment is my betterment. That's just community. That's the definition of community.
Makes a lot of sense. And then you know, you've been in the role of, as well as the leader of the Labour Party and several other positions. How do you listen to people? Is there going to be open forums? Is going to be some sort of a department that you will be assigning for having a weekly meeting from the public? How would you communicate with people to hear what they want and attend to it?
Oh, that's such a great question. Thank you for that. You know, I think that the best way to reach people is to meet them where they're at. And I think that we need to go back to town halls and community meetings, and you know, that part of history that was very good, which was having people voice their opinions. And somehow we've kind of lost that, and I'd like to go back to that. I would like to have that discussions with community, with leadership, with all the diversity in our city, because you know, I've been really saying this throughout this campaign, and it's you know, I really need people to hear me. The politics that are being put forward today are politics of 20 years ago. They're not politics that represent the change in the demographic of the city as it looks today and as it will look in 10 years. As immigration increases, as the world becomes more and more unstable, as we have more refugees, we could not have imagined that Ukrainian refugees would be 5,000 a month in Winnipeg. We couldn't have imagined that, but we didn't create for that. So we have to plan for these things. The world is in chaos, and we need to be very prepared that we are a part of that world. And how we communicate with people, how we bring people to the table is going to be critically important if we want to move forward as a larger Winnipeg community.
Very good point. So actually, it's I wish we have more of open forums and community and town hall meetings. I think one of as a business owner and community member, one of the things that we've seemed to forget to do is to get together for town halls. Like, I think COVID scared everybody now. Everybody wants to work from home and stay home and hide behind home. But I think that is a very great idea. Just bring people back into town hall or town hall meetings, and it's a wonderful idea. I know we're in.
It's an important democracy, right? Yeah. It's such a part of understanding that what we are doing is representative of people that we're serving.
Yeah. So I know we promised you that will be about 30 minutes. We're about 27 and a half minutes here. So I'm going to try to wrap this with a question, which is, if you want to encourage people, or maybe two questions, if you allow me. The first question: how do you encourage people? What would you say to people to go for the early elections, to get there to the polls and give their vote? Why is that important?
You know, so many levels. And I just want to speak to our community specifically. I know sometimes there's other people who listen to this, but if we don't stand up, if we don't start to voice our opinions and take our space in these processes, which we do by voting, we will be left behind. It's really that simple. And what happens when we are left behind as siblings, as parents, as aunties, as uncles, is the world is making decisions for us about your children without any word from you. And you may not see the effects of that in your lifetime, but your children will definitely see the lifetime. They will see it in theirs. So we don't vote for ourselves. We don't do this for us. I don't vote for mayor for me. We don't do it personally. That's not what we do. We do it because we understand that there's going to be a generation after us who looks back and asks us, what did we do? What did we do when we allowed somebody who is very racist, who is perpetuating things that we don't believe in? in any way that are completely unacceptable, discriminatory, what are we going to do? Are we going to say, well, we just stood back and watched it? No, it is a responsibility. I implore people. This is not a joke. This is a very serious time. You know, we can see what's happening across the world. This is no time to sit back. This is no time to sit back.
Completely support you, Rana. Completely support you. I truly believe that be from the kind that make things happen, not the ones who watch things happen or have no idea what just happened. So be from the ones who make things happen. I agree with you 100%. Rana, you've been wonderful. You've been great. It's always a pleasure always to speak with you and be with you. We passed the 30 minutes. So I know you're very busy with your campaign and life in general. So I really appreciate the time you gave us today. And I'm sure our audience also appreciate that you're hearing from you, knowing you, seeing you in a personalized way, not just in the picture that we all know about you. And I'll leave the last word for you, please. Go ahead.
You know, advanced polls are open right now. The election is October 26th. My name is second on the ballot. I can tell you that if our own community came out without hesitation, we would have the first Muslim woman leader in this city in history. So it's up to us. You know, I have the skill. It's not, you know, when it comes to competitiveness, I'm there. You know, I've done all that I could do to give all of our community an option for the betterment of all of us. So I implore you to let's get behind, let's support, let's do it for the best interest of all of us.
Thank you for that last word, and thanks for the encouragement. I think we all have to vote, and we all have to be heard and be active. Thanks, Rana. Thank you, Rana, and thanks everyone for watching and following us. I do second what Rana has said. Let's just make a difference. Let's have your voice heard, and whoever you vote for is your decision. But be active and vote for your rights and for choosing your leader in the city for the next at least many years to come. Maybe because my recollection is that the mayor usually go for more than one term. So, you know, let's make this happen. Thank you, Rana. Thanks, everyone.
Allah Hafiz. Take care.
Thank you.